All right. Good evening, everyone. Had a chance to jump on live here just to discuss some things that are currently going on that I want you guys to be aware of, because a lot of these things, believe it or not, depending on the political party, and again, I don't trust the Republicans nor the Democrats or even the independents. If you are a politician and you're not grassroots, pretty much I don't have anything inside me that's going to sway you away, even if you talk a really good talk. But let me dive right into this, because this is one of them situations where I don't want to kind of bore you with a lot of jargon and a lot of, rants, because Republican state legislators in the South just picked up a pen, and with that pen, they started erasing us. Not with a new law, not with a voter ID card, not with a polling place closure, but with a map. And if you guys have been noticing this, there's been a lot of news coverage, a lot of political rhetoric around redistricting. A lot of the areas that have been predominantly Black, it's like they're almost, to a certain degree, only moving and creating and redistrict seats that are in these Black conclaves because they want to ensure that the Democrats never win again. Because the only way that the Democrats win is when that 85 to 90% of Black voters vote Democrat, which we have, unfortunately, traditionally have done. And this is why I say unfortunately, because I'm not pushing on anyone to the GOP, and I'm not pushing anyone to the Democrats nor the independents, right? Because automatically, most people, out of the 20% of people, of Black people that voted for Trump in 2024, his approval rating is down 9% when it comes to Black voters, right? What does that mean? I'm not a betting man, but as I look at it, I believe, that 13, 17% is now going to be moved over, 11% will now be moved over to the Democrats. It seems like we just shift, instead of sitting back, have a Coke and a smile, and see who is offering the best legislation that's going to support our family, our communities, and our neighborhoods. Because again, as I stated, the GOP, they are redrawing the congressional district lines right now. We either be in Louisiana and Virginia and Tennessee and Alabama. And what they have done, the Black congressional seats in the communities that people have been fighting for and marching for and bleeding for years, they will be gone. That's just what it is, ladies and gentlemen. Every 10 years after the U.S. Census state redraw congressional district maps to reflect population changes, this is what we call as the new normal. This is the law, so to speak. But what's happening right now in May, between these census cycles, this is not normal. Republican-controlled state legislators are conducting what political scientists are calling a mid-decade power grab. A mid-decade redistricting efforts, that means that they are redrawing maps that we just drawn in 2021. They're literally reverting back to worse than what it was in some regards. And they're not doing this because population shifted, because that's some people like, well, there is a migration in America. A lot of people have been moving from California and New York down to Florida and South Carolina and North Carolina and Texas and Alabama, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We get it. We understand. But it's not because the population shifted, but because they want different outcomes. This is like a breadcrumb walk to communism, where one political party, for the majority, stays in place because they simply have more seats than the other party. Not that I agree or disagree, because I believe politics is inherently evil. But I also believe that we need politics to a certain degree, or we need, legislators, we need people in position to create laws that are help the people. But don't forget, the same laws they're creating that help the people could be hurting the people. It's just what type of people you're talking about. Right now, it seems though the legislation that's being passed are helping the rich people, and the legislation they're writing now are hurting the people who are low impoverished. And the catalyst for this is a Supreme Court hand ruling. They passed down this ruling earlier this year because it was between Louisiana versus Callais. Okay. And here's what that ruling did, because the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court severely weakened, by the way, they severely weakened Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act that everybody been talking about it. They severely weakened Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. And Section 2 was a legal guardrail that said states cannot draw maps that discriminate against minority voters. And so somebody will say, oh, well, the Republicans are not doing that. We have a lot of people who just hang on the Democratic and Republican shields. They hang on to the Republican and Democratic coattails. But here's the truth. If a region, how they break up in these districts throughout the states, if that district is majority Black, let's say 90% of that district is Black and historically have been voting Democrat, right? Which is their choice, okay? Then you figure out a way how to redraw the map where now the majority of that area is non-Democratic, it's Republican, whether they be white or Black, but majority possibly is going to be white. So it's going to automatically turn that seat red. You see that? Like, wait a minute, we got 40% of Black people living in this area, and if we just carve the line this way, there is no way that the Democrats can win. See, people want to make this political, right? Back and forth, back and forth. Oh, well, the Republicans are doing this right now. The Trump administration is doing that right now. The Democrats haven't done this, and the Democrats haven't done that. But the truth of the matter is, this is about power. This is about power, ladies and gentlemen. I think most of you know this by now, because it was what the civil rights attorneys used to fight back when states tried to pack Black voters into one district to neutralize them or crack them across multiple districts so they were a permanent minority in each. This is about power. When you look at Louisiana versus Callais, essentially told state legislators, you can now justify racial gerrymandering as ordinary partisan politics. And here's the layman version of it. You can dilute Black political power as long as you call it a partisan decision instead of a racial one. That's how they do it. That is the permission slip they have been waiting for, okay? Because this is not an abstract threat, by the way. In Louisiana, ground zero for this fight, Republican legislators are advancing a new map that dismantles the second majority Black congressional district that federal courts ordered to be created after years of litigation. And then the NAACP, they won that fight in court, and now with Louisiana versus Callais as cover, the legislator is trying to take it back. You know why it's so hard for me to kind of give the NAACP their flowers? Not the NAACP of the 1960s and 50s and early 70s, but the new NAACP that really don't do anything like they used to. But again, I digress. I'm really trying to walk it back. But nevertheless, in Virginia, Republicans are redrawing, the map, so to speak. They were drawing the maps that the civil rights advocates say would eliminate Black representation in at least 2 congressional seats in communities where Black voters have held those seats for decades. In Tennessee, they are targeting Representative Steve Cohen's district in Memphis, a district that is majority Black and majority minority, split to dilute the Black vote across 3 Republican-leaning districts. In Alabama, okay, a state where the Supreme Court literally told legislators in the Allen versus Milligan in 23 that their maps violated the Voting Rights Act. That's what the Supreme Court told them. The Republican legislators drew a new map that voting rights scholars say it's barely different from the one on the court struck down. We have a new Supreme Court, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing in America is fair and balanced and equal. I don't even think if you bought a scale from Amazon, That scale may be off 0.1%. Don't they tell you that? Oh, could be off 0.02%. Nothing is fair and balanced. But there is something. Let me ask you guys this. When you have to draw the same illegal map twice in 3 years, what does that tell you about your intentions? You think it's honest? You think they're righting or wrong? Because here's the mechanics of what they're doing. Gerrymandering, this gerrymandering thing, right? It works two ways, especially when it targets Black voters. First, it's packing. You put all the Black voters into one single district so they can only elect one Black congressman, no matter how large the population is. You waste their votes. You know, they win that one seat by a landslide, but they have no influence anywhere else. See, this is intelligently, publicly done right in front of everybody's face. Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, all of these people, right? And what they're going to find out is the America that they think they're going to have is going to be the opposite of what they think is going to be. Because they either split that population that is the majority, that maybe two districts were usually Black. They either try to slice it in half to dilute one seat, or they try to redistrict both sides of an area so they're now absorbed by a majority Republican district. You see how that is? It's intelligent, it's right in your face, and they're going about it by legal means because they have the backing of the Supreme Court. Now, the second one is cracking. You spread Black voters across 4 or 5 districts, making them a very, very small minority each, so they can never elect anyone who would ever in their lives represent them. This is what this is about: power. They are always outvoted. Their communities, our communities' interests are never represented in Congress. This is why I told it's quite possible for us to stall a PAC in your different municipalities, of course. Think about it: $1, $10. You guys spend that at Chick-fil-A or something. I don't know, Burger King. You spend it on Amazon at least once a week. Just think if you had a political action committee with some grassroots candidate that every month you gave $10 to. That's cheaper than Netflix, your Prime Video, it's cheaper than everything, just so you can have a piece of what they call the American dream. Oh, white picket fence with a nice size house, 2-car garage, and a lawnmower. We might just have that lawnmower that has no engine that you just push the blades. But as I think about this court case, and I'm talking about Louisiana versus Callais, you know, it now gives the state the legal language to say this is not about race. Have you noticed that? We have a country that the very foundation was built on enslaving and being discriminatory to one group of people. You know, at first we used to think, oh, it's the color of our skin. No. It's not the color of our damn skin, ladies and gentlemen. We're getting this wrong. Let me tell you something. I'm pretty sure wherever you live, there has been an influx of H-1B visa personnel from the country of India. And again, I don't have anything against Indian people, so don't take this the wrong way. But a lot of Indians that come over here from India have dark skin. They don't discriminate against them as far as I can see. If anything, they have been given opportunities over Black American. This is plain and simple about race. If it was about skin color, then the Indians would be on our side, we'd be on their side, and we'd be fighting this good fight together. No. I don't look like an Indian person. They may have the same color skin. This is about race, because race is not just skin color, it's phenotype, it's DNA, it's ancestry, it's lineage. That's what people are getting jacked up. Talking about this is not about race, it's about partisan geography, and because courts have historically given more deference to partial gerrymandering than racial gerrymandering, that argument works. I beg to differ. Your vote, your seat, your representation stolen through cartography. That's what this is about. Let me show you, should have shared it first. Give me 1 second. Usually I'm a little more prepared, but I'm pumped up today, ladies and gentlemen. I have a couple of things to say. Now, I want you guys to see this because I'm on CNN here. And again, I always tell people who are kind of getting into politics, new to politics, don't just watch CNN. Don't just watch Fox News. Don't just watch MS Now. Watch all of them and compare what they're stating about particular issues that you find critical in your life. Okay, but nevertheless, Republicans could flip 9 more seats. That's what this is stating. And they're going about it how they could do it and why it matters. Now, it states here that the party not in the White House typically picks up seats in midterm elections. Republicans' historically small margin in the House and a shrinking universe of competitive districts means that even a few seats could determine control of Congress next year. And again, I want to revolt this back, not about the big bad Republicans or the big bad conservative. No, this is about power. Okay, but they are literally erasing districts that now were only Democrat, because that's not the thing I really like to focus on. I hate the fact that majority of Black Americans are Democrats. I wish that we voted on tangibles and power versus a political party because we think all the Republicans are racist or all the Republicans are bad. I don't think any group is all bad except, KKK, skinheads, so on and so forth, 1%ers, etc. I digress. But not in politics. And they're showing how they could simply redistrict, throw some lines, and then, take some seats or whatever. And what I really need you guys to understand now, not in 2030, not after the next census, but now. The 2026 midterm elections are 6 months away. I believe it's November 9th. I could be off a day or two. And Republicans currently hold the House of Representatives by a margin about, last time I checked, it was around 4 seats. Democrats need to flip roughly 5 seats to take back the House, and with it, the power to block every executive agenda item, issue subpoenas, and hold the administration accountable for these things. If they successfully redraw maps in Louisiana, Virginia, Tennessee, and Alabama before November, the seats that Black voters would flip go away permanently. Not for one election cycle, ladies and gentlemen, for the rest of the decade. This is not a political chess move. This is a checkmate attempt on Black political power before the board is even set up. Why, if I don't pick a side, why do I want the Democrats to have some equality, and why do I want the Republicans to have some equality? We don't want any political party to have all the power. It makes it harder for us to get our foot in the door. You get what I'm saying? Think about it. If the Republicans have traditionally non-publicly done anything for the Black community, why would I want them to have all the power? If the Democrat comes in the Black community every 2 and 4 years and pat us on the back and kick us in our ass and kiss us on our cheek and say, that a boy, that a girl, but never give us any tangible, why would I want them to have all the power? See, I want to sit right in the middle in the fight and look at both political parties. It was like, what you got going on for the Black community? Oh, same thing? Okay, cool. What do you have going on for the Black community? Oh, okay, nothing. All right. Wait a minute, you're going to do what? See, here's the thing. I already know we're not going to get every single thing that we put on the list, but can we get one? All these other communities, can we get one? Because I promise you, if you say, I'm investing this amount of money in these communities and they so happen to be Black, watch Black people line up to vote. Let's stop making this about race, because that's what they make it about, race. They say Black without saying Black. They say, well, this particular district is 90% African American, so That's really going to hurt the Black Democratic vote. Like, they make it about race. We don't make it about race. You go up to a person you never met before, they so happen to be white. And let's say you get familiar with them. Maybe you at a car wash, a gas station, a function, an event. And maybe this is just my experience because I'm a really lighthearted feel guy. I'm a jokester, so to speak. They always end up, not always. Nope, I take that back. Not always, but sometimes. Calling me damn brother. I keep telling people, if you guys don't understand it, if you guys don't believe it, some people say, oh, it's a term of endearment. And dear everybody else, don't call me brother, okay? Listen, I know Black people I walk up to. A lot of us don't even like, hey, man, what up, brother? We don't even talk like that. But if you notice, it's usually coming from a white guy. That's the usual. And some Hispanics and maybe a couple of Asians, right? And they don't understand that that is a labeling term. Now, it's subconscious because you hear it so much, you think it's okay to call a Black person a brother or a sister, and you don't even know them. But when you introduce yourself to another person of your race or a different race, oh, what's your name, buddy? Oh, I'm Jim, or I'm Tom, or I'm, Wayne, whatever the case may be. But with us, hey, brother, no, it's not my damn name. I know, I went off. Excuse me. I got a couple of ticks I need to get some help about. But nevertheless, I want you guys to think about Senator Alicia Slocum, because she said it very clearly, in my opinion, because she stated that minority political representation itself is under direct attack, and the goal is not just to win in 2026. The goal is to reshape the architecture of American political power so Black communities cannot produce congressional majorities, right? They can't produce congressional majorities, regardless of how many of them vote. They're trying to literally erase the Black vote. So it don't matter how many comes out and vote, you still won't have any power. I know, right? All the problems, none of the solutions. So let's fix it. Number one, find out what is happening in your state. Go to the, what is called the Brennan Center for Justice website, brennancenter.org. They're tracking every single place where the Republicans and or the Democrats is trying to redistrict. Fight in every state in real time. Know what map your state is drawing. Know what is being done with your seat. Here's another one. Contact your state legislator today. It's probably after 5, maybe tomorrow. Note your federal congressperson. Okay, not your federal congressperson. Your state representative. These maps, they're drawn at state level because your state senator and your state house member are the ones who vote on this. You need to call their offices, show up at their desk, okay? That's probably what you need to do. Show up at their town halls. Make them uncomfortable because they do allow the public to speak at a lot of these town halls, by the way. Support the legal organizations fighting for this in court. And again, we always have to verify that the chapter of the NAACP in your city and or state, make sure they're actually doing the work before you give your money. Because I was going to say, these are the places that we really need to fund, like the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights, the Brennan Center, as I already mentioned. They are filing lawsuits and fighting these maps in federal court. And they need resources. They need attention. They need our platforms. And again, this is not backing the Democrats. I want to make sure people, now, if you're a Democrat, that's fine. You're a Republican, that's fine. This is about keeping the power split. Because some people would like to believe, well, if we allow the Republicans to take all the seats, then things will get done. If we allow Democrats all in the seats, things will get done. Ladies and gentlemen, we've had all Republicans that control all 3 branches of government, the majority senators, okay, congressional members, and the executive level where the president lies. They've operated and controlled and been in power on all three levels of government, and we still don't see significant change in our lives. And somebody say, well, if that's the case, then what does it matter? Well, if you notice, if we keep the power split between the Republicans and Democrats, some things do change. Some things do get better because they have to, give a little to take a little. They have to make these compromises. Everybody got to get something out of the deal. Here's another solution. You guys need to vote in every state election between now and November, every primary, every special election, every local race, because the people who sit in these state legislators are the people who draw these maps. The fight for congressional representation starts at the state house. Last time I checked, and we need to talk about it, right? Share this video to your friends and family. Send it to your cousin Louisiana. Send it to your friends in Memphis. Send it to your people in Birmingham. Because the reason this strategy works is the most people have never heard of mid-decade when they're trying to redistrict and redraw these maps. And once you know it, you can't hide it. They're not coming for your vote on election day. That's what people are. They're just trying to get our vote. They're coming for 6 months. They're coming for it 6 months before you ever get to the polls. They are redrawing the map. They are erasing your seat. They are calling it partisan strategy, so the courts look the other way. And the courts know what they're doing. What normally operates besides power? Like, I want you guys to think, what makes a person powerful? Bodyguards, status, money. I want you guys to think about a figure who's not political. And if I was to ask you if they had power, what would you think? Let me give you a name. Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk. You're like, oh, they're powerful. Why are they powerful? When you look at them, picture them without their money. Do they look powerful now? Picture them without their corporations and enterprises. Do they look so powerful? The reason why we look at powerful people the way we do is because of what they own and operate and what they control. See, your Elon Musk, your Jeff Bezos, your Bill Gates, your Warren Buffett, they don't never have to lift a finger in their life. They have everybody else to do it for them, and they will remain filthy rich. So when you hear that you have all this dark water money and this black business, you have all these terms that people are talking about, shadow governments. The only thing they're referring to is behind the federal and state governments that we see with our own two eyes on TV or in your local areas. They're being ran, operating, influenced, and controlled by big business. People who are going to fill their pockets with cash. So don't ever get confused with power, okay? Never get confused with power and money. I've never seen, okay, unless it was in a boxing ring or MMA match, I've never seen someone powerful without any money. But here's what history has taught us about Black political power. Black political power is never killed, but it definitely has been suppressed. And suppression only works on people who don't know it's happening. Now you know, so it can't happen to you. See, when I look at the term in the reference of the channel Blacklogic, we are Blacklogic because we have to diagnose power so we can reclaim what we are owed. Share this video to your friends and family. I want you guys to subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, and do not let them draw you out of the picture because they're planning. And while we are out spending money that we shouldn't spend, especially in the current condition that the economy is in, we plan these 10 and 20 level games. The military folk know what I'm talking about. We're not understanding the bigger picture here. This is about power. The Republicans want it. The Democrats want it. The only difference is the Republicans jumped out first before they shot. You know how you at a track race and go, pow, and they start running? On your mark, get set. Republicans ran. The Democrats, wait, hold on. That's all was going right now. The Democrats possibly would have done it. Let's see, you have Volvo. Good day to you. Play for life, share life, and expand. I'm just gonna call you 1466. It said fact, brother, every other word. Every other word. Wow, that's funny. Let's see, Monica Smith. I still have relatives who aren't registered to vote. Shaking my head. I have done everything to encourage them. You know, I know this is a hard stance for me. If somebody doesn't want to vote, even in their own best interest, I can understand encouraging someone, but after encouraging someone, you know, the reasons why we should vote, the purposes of why we should vote, how it may be beneficial, why we should vote, I'm not going to beat that in somebody's head. You know why? And I won't look at them different. I don't care. Friends, family, loved ones, whether they vote or don't vote Republican or Democrat, I'm not going to change how I feel about them. We're allowing politics to change our everyday lives, to curtail the way we think about people because of their political stance and their political positions. I know people with businesses, they still look at the Republican administration as the way to go because of tax cuts and business incentives, etc. They're looking at the bigger picture of them, you know, gaining a bigger bag so they can take care of their family. They're not even worried about, and I'm not saying they're right. They're not worried about your well-being. When you go out and vote, are you worried about their well-being? Well, I'm worried about everybody. And that may be possible. That may be true. But not everybody is like that. But I'm not going to hold, you know, people's feet to the fire because of the way I think versus the way they think and how they think they should vote versus the way I think I should vote or don't vote. Again, we've had a lot of us to sacrifice for this country, for the rights that we do have. And one of those rights is the rights to sit on your hands and not do anything, the right not to vote. Like, here's my thing. Once you're educated about politics, and I don't mean, you know, full on, but you're just aware what means what when you do, you know, voting versus non-voting, I'm not going to feel any particular way. I'm just going to go along with your choice. And I respect that. I respect people who don't vote. I respect people who do vote. I respect people who vote Republican. I respect people who vote Democrat. It's your choice. It's one of our freedoms. You have the freedom to do absolutely nothing, and you have the freedom to go either left or right, liberal or conservative. But people online constantly try to convince people over and over and over again, you shouldn't vote for the Democrats because it is, and you shouldn't vote for the Republicans because it is. I'm just telling the people, read the damn legislation on both parties, and whatever legislation you deem beneficial for you and your family, and let alone your community, then who should you vote for? If you believe that Republican Party got great legislation for you and yours, vote Republican, and vice versa, vote Democrat. But I'm at least here on Blacklogic going to tell you what the hell's going on. And with that, you guys should be able to make a sound decision. Okay? So you guys have a great and wonderful evening.